Morning viewer, Corey here. Right now we're going to go over section 11 out of our lovely book You. I want to share a little bit of something with you guys this morning. And I just want to say, if you haven't been convinced yet that there's this intelligence which is always there taking care of us, making sure that we have the things that we need at the perfect time. I really have no idea what will. When I remember sharing with you guys that I started my own business. These last 2 weeks have been extremely slow. We have 4 clients, and one of my clients out in her hometown. Another one of my clients just recently had eye surgery, so she's not going to be able to train for the next 3 weeks. Another one of my clients just started school and work, so it's hard for us to get a schedule in there. And then my other client, we're going to need to wait until next Thursday to get started again. And it's hard, it's a struggle. Like, you have to really economize your resources and time. You have to especially when things like this happen, you really need to make a little bit more of a sacrifice on your part in order to make sure that you still have the enough resources to keep going. And the reason I share this is because when it gets to the point where you're a little bit low on your resources, there's always something that ends up coming up. There's an opportunity that presents itself for you to help you get more of the resource that you need, to help you continue on your endeavor. The big reason I share this story is because it just recently happened to me again. It's always happened. Like at that point in time where you need it the most, something ends up coming up for you. And I just want to hopefully, bring some light, I guess you could say, on that type of situation, because we've all experienced that at one point in our lives, and then something ended up happening that completely, it ended up being okay. Everything is always okay, and it's like when you need something and someone else needs something, then all of it comes to you and to that person in perfect synchronicity. Everything happens like exactly as it should. Because I know you've been somewhere, you just happen to be at the right place at the right time, meeting the right person, meeting somebody who you were, thinking about, or somebody that you needed to meet that ended up teaching you something, or you just recently asked yourself or asked for an answer for something, and it ends up coming to you in one form or another. Likewise with this situation here, if you have a goal that you're trying to reach and go for, and as long as you don't give up and you keep doing everything that you can do to every day to keep propelling you towards that goal, this intelligence, this substance, God, it's going to make sure that you have the things necessary. It's going to make sure that you're still going to be able to do it. But it's going to involve a little bit of work on your part. Because when that opportunity comes, that's when you need to take it. And that brings me back to the point of when we were reading The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles. And he talks about, thoughts. You're thinking about it, and when you think, you're sending out that consciousness vibration, and that thought vibration, that thought form goes out, and how science, or Charles F. Haanel explains the law of attraction, that thought automatically correlates with its object and brings it into manifestation. Law of attraction, these vibrations connect with each other, and then they attract each other. I know I read over the Law of Opulence too by Wallace D. Wattles, and he's talking about money. All you need to do, you think about the money. You form a connection with the money. You form a oneness with it. Like it's coming to me. That's what you need to say. It's coming to me. I don't know how it's going to come to me. I don't know when it's going to come to me, but I know it's going to come in one form or another, and I know that I'm going to need to provide some service on my end in order to get it, because like Wallace D. Wattles says it, that thought brings it to you, but it's actions that make you receive it. Thoughts bring you the opportunities, and with action, you actually take up that opportunity and make it a reality. It's something I just wanted to share with you guys. It's really something I'm going through right now. It's hard. It's really hard. Trying to start something on your own, trying to be your own independent fitness trainer. It's hard. Everything depends on you. The same thing if you're working at a job, your position there depends upon you, and if you're actually gonna play your part when it comes to working that job. Likewise when you go out and do it for yourself, okay, you need to do even more work. You need to have more responsibility, because you're not being told what to do. You're out there going out, just doing it. And I know I say a lot. What's funny? I was looking up like the horoscopes. I said I was going to read the horoscopes too, that correspond with like the planetary vibrations and the characteristics that each planet goes over. I remember going over for Aries in one earlier video, and because I wrote down a few of the horoscopes. I'm on Cancer right now. I wrote down for Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and I'm currently on Cancer. And these characteristics that they're explaining for the horoscopes on the website is exactly similar to the characteristics that Charles F. Haanel was explaining with us right now. Excuse me. Sorry. I know usually when I have the hiccups, I really try to keep them from coming out, which is just something I always try doing. It's funny because a lot of people always ask me if something's wrong, and I just say I'm trying to take my hiccups away. But anyway, I want to share that, guys, with you guys. It's pretty early in the morning. I got up not too long ago. Right now it's 8:17, September 16th. I'm not used to reading at this time, so it feels a little bit different for us as well. So let's get started with chapter 11, and we are on periodicity. So, section 11. We live in a fathomless sea of plastic mind substance. This substance is ever alive and active. It is sensitive to the highest degree. It takes form according to mental demand. Thought forms the mold or matrix from which the substance expresses, and our ideal is the mold from which our future will emerge. Wow, kind of very similar to how we were just explaining right now, because we live in this mind substance, this all consciousness that is itself, conscious itself, and is able to think, and it's aware when you need something, or when someone else needs something, and you need this, and they need that, and things work in perfect synchronicity. Just be patient when it comes to things that are moving. That's why patience is a virtue, because God works patiently, making sure that this gets to this in the perfect manner. And it takes form according to mental demand. Whatever thoughts you are thinking, the thought forms that you are releasing, the consciousness substance which you are expressing, and the thought forms the mold or matrix from which the substance expresses. So not only do you bring the things towards you with the law of attraction, but it also has a physical manifestation within the body. Remember, every thought we think sets certain brain cells into activity, and these brain cells group themselves in accordance with the nature of your thinking. It's the physical manifestation within the body of what the thinking is. Because remember, mind is mind. It's something completely separate from the body, but yet still attached to it at the same time. You know, it's mind itself is this invisible substance that is in control of this physical type of substance, or physical being, you could say, because our ideal is the mold from which our future will emerge. Not only do we take the image of that which we are not only do we embody the image of that we are continuously mentally, imaging or thinking about within ourselves, but we set those forces in motion and bring things to us to help make that image a reality. With thought, you bring things to you. With actions, you receive. The universe is alive. In order to express life, there must be mind. Nothing can exist without mind. Everything which exists is some manifestation of this one basic substance, from which and by which all things have been created and are continually being recreated. It is man's capacity to think that makes him a creator instead of a creature. Because no other creature on this planet thinks as much as we do, and it's thinking thoughts. This was first a thought form in somebody's mind, and then they took the actions to make it an actual physical thing. Me reading these books to you guys was only an idea that I had before I actually took the actions to make it happen. Because I love to read, and I just wanted to talk about it. And I go over it with myself, and whoever watches this videos are able to go over it with me as well. So all things are the result of thought process. Man has accomplished the seeming impossible because he has refused to consider it impossible. By concentration, men have made the connection between the finite and the infinite, the limitable and the unlimited, the visible and the invisible, the personal and the impersonal. Now, if you guys haven't been with us during the Master Key system, we went over the mechanism of attachment, which enables us to bring all these things into manifestation. And I recall going over it a little bit over recent chapters before when we were talking about, with the radio antenna and your receiver. Your brain and cerebral spinal is your own personal antenna, and you're able to send out vibrations and receive vibrations through it, by concentration, when we were talking about, when you think of a certain thing, you're setting those brain cells. And when you're concentrating upon that specific thing, your brain cells, they grew up and form in accordance with that thing. You're making that connection, you're forming the link, you're creating that circuit within your own antenna, within your brain. Because the brain and cerebral spinal is the organs of the conscious mind. It's nothing but an embryonic world. In the Master Key system, he talks about that. And it is because the brain is able to do that we are able to manifest our thoughts as much, because the size of our brain is way more than the size of any other animal. And that's really because of that we're able to exercise as much thought as possible. The building up of matter from electrons has been an involuntary process of individualizing intelligent energy. Now remember what we were saying about the subconscious. The building up of matter in the cerebral, or the sympathetic nervous system. It's the involuntary process. Hold on. The building up of matter from electrons has been an involuntary process. And the process of your subconscious mind has come first before your conscious portion of your mind, your self-aware portion of the mind, of individualizing intelligent energy. I know what I'm talking about is a little bit more than what he is explaining here, because I'm currently going into the system of nerves within the body, and he goes over the system of nerves within the body as well. We'll go ahead and save that for another time. So electrons has been an involuntary process of individualizing intelligent energy. Men have learned a way to cross the ocean on floating palaces, how to fly in the air, how to transmit thought around the world on sensitized wires, how to cushion the earth with rubber, and thousands of other things just as remarkable, just as startling, and just as incomprehensible to the people of a generation ago. Men will yet turn to the study of life itself, and with the knowledge thus gained will come peace and joy and length of days. The search for the elixir of life has always been a fascinating study, and has taken hold of many minds of utopian mold. In all times, philosophers have dreamed of the day when man will become the master of matter. Old manuscripts contain many receipts which have cost their inventors bitter pangs of baffled disillusionment. Thousands of investigators have laid their contributions upon the sacrificial altar for the benefit of mankind. But not through quarantine, or disinfections, or boards of health, will man reach the long-sought plane of physical well-being, nor by dieting or fasting or suggesting will the elixir of life in the philosopher's stone be found. The mercury of the sages and the hidden manna are not constituents of health foods. When man's mind is made perfect, then and only then will the body be able perfectly to express itself. The physical body is maintained through a process of continuous destruction and reconstruction. Health is but the equilibrium which nature maintains through the process of creating new tissue and eliminating the old or waste tissue. Hate, envy, criticism, jealousy, competition, selfishness, war, suicide, and murder are in causes which produce acid conditions in the blood, causing changes which result in irritation of the brain cells, the keys upon which soul plays, quote, divine harmonies, end quote, or fantastic tricks before high heaven, according to the arrangement of chemical molecules in the wondrous laboratory of nature. And that laboratory is being the brain, the mind of man. Oh, there's a spider. Yeah, Okay, so hate, envy, criticism, jealousy, and competition. Those are all states of mind. You know, they're negative thought forms. It's negative energy from which you are releasing from yourself. And remember how your body, the physical manifestation of every thought happens within the body, and your body reacts. You know, which produce acid conditions in the blood. Okay, when you have thoughts of that are stressing you out, okay, your body's responding by releasing cortisol within the bloodstream. Okay, and as that cortisol travels along the bloodstream, okay, that's what's making you feel bad. It's what's making you feel more stressed out, and that's causing changes which result in irritations of the brain cells. You know, and that irritation is causing those hormones to be released in the bloodstream, and the keys upon which soul plays divine harmonies or fantastic tricks before high heavens, accordingly to the arrangements of chemical molecules in the wondrous laboratory of nature. And the body is nothing but chemical reactions. Okay, the chemical molecules in the wondrous laboratory of nature, the physical manifestation of our body. Birth and death are constantly taking place in the body. New cells are being created by the process of converting food, water, and air into living tissue. Every action of the brain, every movement of the muscle, means destruction and consequent death of some of these cells, and the accumulation of these dead, unused, and waste cells is what causes pain, suffering, and disease. We allow such destructive thoughts as fear, anger, worry, hatred, and jealousy to take possession, and these thoughts influence the various functional activities of the body, the brain, the nerves, the heart, the liver, or the kidneys. They in turn refuse to perform their various functions. The constructive processes cease and the destructive processes begin. Food, water, and air are the three essential elements necessary to sustain life, but there is something still more essential. Every time we breathe, we not only fill our lungs with air, but we fill ourselves with pranic energy, the breath of life replete with every requirement for mind and spirit. This life-giving spirit is far more necessary than air, food, or water. A man can live 40 days without food, and 3 days without water, and for a minute without air, but he cannot live a single second without ether. It is the one prime essential of life, so that the process of breathing furnishes not only food for body building, but food for mind and spirit as well. It is a well-known fact in India, but not so well known in this country, that in normal rhythmical breathing, exhalation or inhalation takes place through one nostril at a time, for about 1 hour through the right nostril, and then for a like period through the left nostril. And I actually looked this up on YouTube the other day when I was looking up beginner poses for yoga, and it's pranic energy. It's not Ashtanga practice, because Ashtanga practice is classical yoga, but this is the actual breathing practice of the yoga. How he was just saying right now, these Hindus, these Indians, they practice breathing through one nostril at a time for a period of 1 hour for each side, and they do this because they're filling their body with this pranic energy. The breath entering through the right nostril creates positive electromagnetic currents, which passes down the right side of the spine, while the breath entering the left nostril sends negative electromagnetic currents down the left side of the spine. These currents are transmitted by way of the nerve centers or ganglia of the sympathetic nervous system, the system of the subconscious mind, to all parts of the body. And the sympathetic nervous system is a nervous system that actually reaches every single part of the body, and the conscious, or the cerebral spinal system in the brain, only reaches through the skeletal muscular system of the body. In the normal rhythmical breath, exhalation takes place twice the time of inhalation. For instance, if inhalation requires 4 seconds, inhalation, including a slight natural pause before the new inhalation, requires 8 seconds. The balancing of the electromagnetic energies in the system depends to a large extent upon this rhythmical breathing. Hence the importance of deep, unobstructed rhythmic exhalation and inhalation. So the practice of this yoga, this pranic, this breathing exercise, it's there to help balance the electromagnetic currents happening within the body, because the right nostril, he is saying, brings in positive electromagnetic energy, while breathing through the left nostril brings in negative electromagnetic energy, and they run along the two opposite ends of your spine. The wise men of India knew that with the breath, they absorbed not only the physical elements of the air, but life itself. They taught that this primary force of all forces, from which all energy is derived, ebbs and flows in rhythmical vibration through the created universe. Every living thing is alive by the virtue of partaking of this cosmic breath. The more positive the demand, the greater the supply. Therefore, while breathing deeply and rhythmically in harmony with the universal breath, we contact the life force from the source of all life in the innermost parts of our being. Without this intimate connection of the individual soul with the great reservoir of life, existence as we know it would be an impossibility. And what is the soul? The soul is the individualization of this universal whole. If there's one consciousness energy that permeates all of space, and all of us are our own individual conscious entities, and it's considered that humans are the only ones that have souls on this planet, that no other creature on this planet has a soul, that is because we are the ones created in the image and likeness of this universal presence, and we have the ability to choose. We have the power of choice, and we are able to we have the ability to create the things we want in our life. Freedom does not consist in the disregard of a governing principle, but in conformity to it. The laws of nature are indefinitely just. A violation of just law is not an act of freedom. The laws of nature are infinitely beneficent. They're infinitely for your benefit. Exception from the operation of the beneficent law is not freedom. Freedom consists in conscious harmonious relation with the laws of being. Thus only may desire be satisfied, harmony attained, and happiness secured. So we are only able to obtain the things that we desire, harmony and happiness, when we're in tune and working as one with this universal creation, with all of the laws or principles of life, which life runs through, like the law of growth, the law of attraction, the law of, what he's saying, the law of being. Wherever you are being is a law unto you. The mighty river is free only while it is confined within banks. The banks enable it to perform its appointed function, and to answer its beneficent purpose to the best advantage. While it is under the restraint of freedom, it gives out its message of harmony and prosperity. If its bed is raised or its volume greatly increased, it leaves its channel and spreads over the country, carrying a message of ruin and desolation. It is no longer free. It has ceased to be a river. Wow. So what he's saying, this flow of water is free to be a river only as it is flowing with the space that it is, only as it stays within the realms of the space of which it is, in order, in harmony with, and as this river overflows and gets filled with water, it then leaves that channel, it leaves that crack. It's then no longer a river because it overflows over it, and it starts to spread around, and it's no longer in order. It's no longer what he is saying as free, because it has ceased to be a river, which it was before, and now who knows, maybe it will turn into a lake. But at first it would cause a little bit of ruin and desolation of whatever exists on that area at that moment in time. Necessities are demands, and demands create actions, which result in growth. This process makes for each decade a larger growth. So it is truly said that the last 25 years have advanced the world more than the previous century, and the last century has advanced the world more than all the ages of the past. And who knows how, 20, 25 years from now, who knows how different things are going to be now from where they were before. Notwithstanding all of the different characters, disposition, or idiosyncrasies of different people, there is a certain definite law which dominates and governs all existence. Thought is mind in motion, and psychic gravity is the law of the mind. What atomic attraction is to physical science, mind has its chemistry and constituent powers, and these powers are as definite as those of any physical potency. Creation is the power of mind, by which the thought is turned inward and made to impregnate and conceive new thought. Creation is the power of mind. It is the power of your mind. Your mind, not a horse's mind, not a pig's mind, not the dog's mind, your mind. Creation is the power of mind by which the thought is turned inward and made to impregnate and conceive new thoughts. And by the law of attraction, as you are thinking along the lines of these thoughts, you are creating new brain cells, which, greater, more grandeur cells within your own embryonic world, and you're creating more of that circuit, that antenna to reach out and attract other similar thoughts according to the nature of your own thought, to help you manifest even more of that image you have in mind, whatever it is that you are thinking. It is for this reason that only the enlightened mind can think for itself. The mind must acquire a certain character of thought, which will enable it to reproduce themselves without any seed from without to impregnate it. When mind has acquired this nature in accordance with which thoughts are able to reproduce themselves, it is able to spontaneously generate thoughts without outside stimulations. Yeah. When you go out and start doing things for yourself without needing somebody else to tell you when it's time to go, and you just go out and do it yourself, and then you eventually, as you keep doing that and you start getting used to doing that, remember how we were just going over the functions of the subconscious mind, how you are building upon your own energy, okay, and that energy is going to take you to where you need to go. This is done by conceiving thought in the mind as a result of being impregnated and fecundated by the universal. Fecundated. I mean, it would be like growth or given life, This is done by conceiving thought in the mind, okay, thinking about the thought as a result of being impregnated, being grown, being brought into existence by the universal. But what is that? Fecundate. To make prolific or fruitful, yes, to bring into manifestation, to impregnate or fertilize, of being impregnated and fecundated, to be fertilized by the universal mind, by your subconscious mind. They must not be permitted to go out into space, but on the contrary, must remain within, where they will create psychic states corresponding to their natures. They must not be permitted to go out into space, but on the contrary, must remain within. You must keep it within, where they will create psychic states. You move into that state of mind because you're thinking about it. You create that mental image and you start impressing it upon your own mind. Remember that formless substance that even Wallace D. Wattles was talking about, that the original substance that takes on the form of that which it is thinking. Because they will create the psychic states. You go into that state of mind corresponding to the nature of the thought, because of all those brain cells that got set into activity. Like I said, with the Master Key System, he talks about your mental home. Your mental home is the building blocks of your cells within your own mind. The physical aspect of the mind, the brain and cerebral spinal system. It is this absorption of self-generated thoughts and their conception of corresponding psychic states that is the principle of causation, the law of cause and effect. You are the cause. You are the cause of doing things. You are the reason why things are the way they are in your life. Like me grabbing this laugh rock, I caused this to actually happen in the material world because as I think about it, I create the state of mind to actually go out to reach for it. And I give that to you. Not every thought we think seeks expression. It does in one way or another, because if you're thinking about it, then you're just sitting there and people know when you're just thinking. But when it actually comes to acting on the thought, okay, you have to move your hands to go and do it. Okay, let's continue. It is the absorption of self-generated thoughts and their conception of corresponding psychic states that is the principle of causation. This is possible owing to the fact that the mental cosmos is perpetually radiated as a unity of mind, and this mind functions in connection with the soul and man, with the soul of man and his mind. Your mind is the same as the universal mind, because it is this. The principle of causation is possible because as you are forming these mental images, you yourself move into that state of mind, and you start acting upon the images of which you have held within yourself because of that psychic state. And this is only possible because of the fact that the universal mind, the mind from which all things proceed from, is perpetually radiated as a unity of mind. It's one with everything. And this mind functions in connection with the soul of man and his mind. With the soul of man as his mind. Your mind is the same as this universal mind. The only difference is one of degree. You're a creator. You are the I am that of the I am that I am. You are consciousness. You are self-aware of yourself. You have the ability to think. You have the power to choose. You have been given dominion over all things because of this mind that you have been given. It being essence is identified with the essence of the cosmos and with the essence of all things. The result is that having attained unto and having become an infinity of thought, the individual is omniscient in mind, omnipotent in will, and omnipresent in soul. The quality of his mind is omniscience, and the quality of his soul is omnipresence. Wow. Because as you are thinking about it and setting that law of attraction in motion, you're creating the thought forms, and that thought vibrates along the ether, like we were saying. It correlates with the vibration of whatever it is you are thinking. That's why money being a spiritual idea, you can think about the money, and you are forming that connection with it. Your thought goes out and reaches for the money, and as you form that unity within yourself with the money, with perfect faith that it is coming to you, then that money is going to be drawn to you. It's going to come to you in the form of opportunity. With thought you bring things towards you, with actions you receive them. Such a man is possessed with real power in all that he does. He is indeed a master, the creator of his own destiny, the arbiter of his own fate. There are many flowers of vari-colored blossoms. Each blossom stem simply reaches up to the great sun, the god of vegetable life, manifestation. Without complaining, without doubt, in all the fullness of plant desire, faith, and expectancy, they demand the god of the vegetable life manifestations. Hermes Trismegistus, the thrice born, he talks about the sun being the god of the material world, the mineral world. And he's saying right now, and with each blossom stem simply reaches up to the great sun, the god of vegetable life manifestations. And if animal life itself is an even more evolved form of vegetable life, then even like our physical being, let's continue. There's a lot to read. There's a lot to learn. Because he's saying the sun being the source of all life, with all life, electromagnetic energy, and even mind. What put the sun there? They demand and attract the richness of color and perfume. And so man too will in the future unshackle the great desire forces of mind and soul and turn them to heaven in righteous demand for the highest gift in the universe, life. And life means to live. Age is a prejudice which has become so firmly anchored in your mind that any casual number of years mentioned evokes a precise image on your brain. Because because when you're thinking about it, you are setting the brain cells. The brain is responding to the images of which you hold. 20 years, you see a youth or a young girl adorned with all of the juvenile graces. 30 years, a young man or young woman in a full developed of vital strength and equilibrium, still on the upgrade towards the dazzling heights of maturity. 40 years, the summit has been reached, the effort made having been maintained by the prospect of the vast horizons to be dominated. The road traversed is contemplated with pride, but with emotions you already turn towards the abyss, whose dizzy curves wind steeply into ever-increasing darkness. 50 years, halfway down the slope, which is still illumined by the light from the peaks. Though already touched by the chill of the abyss, organism weakened and compelled to submit to numerous abdications. The state of being abdicated, or renunciation. To renounce or relinquish a throne, right, power, claim, responsibility, or the like, especially in a formal manner. Submit to numerous abdications. Here. Let's go ahead and end this part right here, and I'll see